All right. In a traditional U.S. history class, we would use Bacon's Rebellion to further understand the shift from servitude to slavery because Bacon's Rebellion was a uprising from current indentured servants, ex-indentured servants, and by 1676 there are also enslaved peoples. So these three groups came together. I'm going to explain it briefly. We'd spend way more time if this was a traditional U.S. history class, but these three groups come together: current indentured servants, ex-indentured servants, and enslaved people, white people and black people, and they rise up together and they call themselves the commons. They see themselves as the same, and they identified the landowners as their common enemy. There were more people living by 1676, and the people that are surviving are getting land that's further away from the James River. They have to come in conflict, understandably, with Native peoples that are living there. And so, again, these three groups, current indentured servants, ex-indentured servants, and enslaved peoples, get together, rise up, call themselves the commons. They burn the town of Jamestown. The mayor has to escape. It's, pretty successful in that it gets people's attention. The leader was a man by the name of Bacon, and he dies within like a few months, and the rebellion kind of loses its steam as a result. But for larger U.S. history, it's kind of one more link in that chain of servitude to slavery, because it's like a shock to white landowners that white people and black people are finding a common ground, and so they recognize they need to separate them if they want to maintain their white privilege and their power. And so one way to separate them is on the basis of race, and we've already seen some of the laws that have been put into place, and those become even more rigid and solidified. And if you look at the shipping records of ships and landowners, there's a decided shift after 1676 when this rebellion happens, of landowners no longer purchasing indentured servants, but now purchasing enslaved peoples. So that's Bacon's Rebellion in a larger context of U.S. history. But I thought you would find of interest these three women that I have listed there. It's not so significant that you remember their names, but we have them, so I gave them to you. It's more their responses to this rebellion. So the first woman you have there, this is treason. If you participate in this rebellion, you've gone against the colony of Virginia. You're trying to overthrow the government. And so she claims that when she participated in this rebellion, Sarah says, I didn't know what I was doing, basically. She says she was just an ignorant woman, and she said some foolish things lately about the Indian War. And so basically she, said, I didn't know what I was doing, politics, so hard for my woman brain. And the court said, oh yeah, sure, you're a woman. You wouldn't know about politics. You're free to go. So obviously Sarah, not so ignorant, but she knew how to play the system. And then the second woman that you have there, her husband was executed, lost all of their land, and so she appealed to the colonial government on the basis of being a mother and said, if I don't have my land back, who will take care of my children? How I can't be a good mother if I don't have access to this land. And so on that basis, she was awarded the land of her husband. The third woman you have there in the module, she's not as savvy, right, as these first two women. She's trying to plead for her husband, and she says he would not have done what he had done if he wasn't listening to her. He would not have done what he had done, she says, if he wasn't listening to her. Trying to play into the idea of being a nagging wife. The problem with this, though, I bet you all could see how this one isn't going to work, is, right, he shouldn't have listened to her. So her attempt at saving him is not going to be successful. He will be executed. But again, the reason I needed to put Bacon's Rebellion out there for y'all because we are talking about this shift from servitude to slavery. But in relation to women's history, I thought you'd find it of interest, the ways in which women are, some of these women are trying to manipulate ideas of gender. All right. If you have any questions, you can leave those in the module. Take care.